What is up? Happy 4th of July weekend. I still can't believe it's already July. Like, I literally don't understand where where the time goes. Like, how is it already July? Let me know. And I apologize in advance. I still have like this lingering cough and my voice sounds a bit different. So I apologize in advance. I might be coughing every so often in this episode. But yeah, so it's Saturday. I try to post podcast episodes on Tuesdays, but it didn't happen this week. So here we are on a Saturday with a podcast episode. Overall, I had a good week. I would say like halfway through the week, I had a bad flare up, and I'm still kind of feeling it now, like the joint pain and my body's all sore, and I'm like, ugh, like why? So, it is what it is. I'm continuing to take it one day at a time, but, I'm really looking forward to relaxing this weekend and just enjoying my time off for the holiday weekend and just kind of resting because my body definitely needs it. So I know some of y'all have been waiting for this episode. I posted earlier in the week that the next episode was going to be about toxic relationships. And I got so many DMs from you guys just telling me how excited you are to hear about it. You guys shared that you've been through toxic relationships and needed advice and stuff like that. So I am super excited because today we about to get juicy and I'm going to be spilling the tea about relaciones tóxicas, toxic relationships. So here we go. I am so hyped to talk about this. I feel like, for the most part, I feel like most of us have gone through toxic relationships, unfortunately. And I'm excited to share this because I feel that toxic relationships have become so normalized. Literally, from the music we listen to, some of the movies we watch, all the social media memes, like our brains are constantly being fed these false ideas of how relationships should be. And it's so disappointing. Like, some of the stuff is funny and you're like, oh yeah, I can relate to it. But then you think about it and you're like, this is terrible. Like, why are toxic relationships so normalized nowadays? It's sad. It's really disappointing and it's sad just to see like what the dating world has become. Dating is definitely not the same how it was when our parents were dating, and especially not when our grandparents were dating. Like, what happened to that old school love, Like, I'm a hopeless romantic. Yes, if you couldn't tell by my posts on social media sometimes, or you know me well enough, I'm a hopeless romantic. By the way, it's very nasty today in Florida. We have rain on and off. There's like a hurricane that's supposed to be coming in a few days. So if you guys hear like rain in the background, I apologize. Hopefully it's not annoying or disruptive. But just in case you're wondering, yes, that is rain. I'm in my car. For some reason, I love filming my podcasts in my car. I don't know if it's because like I'm alone and I can just go all in. So I just wanted to put that out there in case you guys do hear rain on and off. Yes, it is raining in Florida. It is not a sunny day in Florida today. But anyways, I'm going to be sharing my personal journey today, giving y'all the tea, but also sharing how I came out of this toxic hole that I had dug myself into and how I'm still unlearning bad habits till this day, because I myself was toxic. I became a very toxic person. And I hope and pray that this episode inspires you guys and helps you if you yourself are in a toxic situation or are the toxic one and so on. So I'm really excited and I really hope this will be a blessing. So let us dive into this. This has been an episode I've actually been wanting to record for a while now. My close friends and family, they know how open I am about talking about my experiences in dating and, relationships. I've learned a lot and I'm still learning so much. And, unfortunately, I have been through lots of heartbreak and, all of that. But, during those situations, I've learned so much about myself and I'm still continuing to learn about myself and, what I'm looking for in a man. And I am not an expert at dating or relationships. However, I love sharing my experiences with people because I want people to know that they're not alone and that, you can rise and get out of these toxic situations and mindsets. It is possible. So that's what I want to get out here today. So I never really advertised my personal dating life on my social media, except for the first boyfriend I ever had, which was back when I was 17. I'll be 25 in August. Dang, yo, I'll be 25 in August. Bruh, I'm getting old. It's like, no, I'm not getting old. But, like, also 25, like, I remember when I was 21. I remember when I was 16. Like, it feels like it was yesterday. And I'm like, wow, 25. Like, that just really got me for a second. But, yeah, so the last time I ever posted a guy I was with, in a romantic relationship was when I was 17. And I've had people ask me, have you dated anyone since that relationship, or have you been single this whole time? Like, what's happening? And the answer to that is no, I have not been single this whole time. I have dated. I definitely, like I said, I don't really put my personal dating life out there. But I have been dating, have dated, and whatnot. And if y'all could see some of the DMs I get and have gotten throughout these last few years, I've had some guys literally shoot their shot, and when they don't get the response they're hoping for, they're quick to say, oh, you're too picky, and blah, 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 blah. And I've heard, like, oh, I don't know how to love or pick the right ones, I'm too difficult, this and that. And honestly, I laugh because while some of that is true, it's also not entirely true. Like, if only you knew what people go through. Like, you guys, you never know what people are going through or what experiences have, shaped them to who they are now. Like, never judge someone immediately. Rather, ask yourself, like, I wonder what happened to that person that made them become this way, and so on. Like, you really don't know what people go through. And yes, I might be picky, but there are many reasons why I am. And that's why I'm going to be sharing my personal journey and giving you all the tea, because it's going to give you some insight on who I am as a person, because some people may think they know me, but they don't know me, only I know me very well. And oh my gosh, it's boring. Okay, hopefully you guys could still hear me clearly. With all that being said, though, I hope this will help you and guide you into choosing the right person and, being open to dating if you are still hesitant or fearful, because I've dealt with this, and it can be lonely and it can be frustrating sometimes. So when I was 17, I had my first boyfriend, and I think we all can agree that your first relationship is always like that puppy love. Like, you're new to the dating and relationship world, so you really learn a lot in this first relationship. I was in high school, I was young and innocent, and I thought this was the guy I was going to marry. I was like, this is him, this is the one. And he was on the baseball team, he was cute, and I was like, oh, I can wear his jersey. Like, I literally was like, OMG, this is my High School Musical, this is my Troy. Yes, that was me at this time in my life, but let me tell you, it was not no Troy and Gabriella relationship at all. I'm like so cringy. I can't believe that was me when I was younger, but whatever. I'm out here spilling the tea and the details. So yes, that was my mindset at the time. And it started off well, like any relationship does. In the beginning, everything's, for the most part, pretty awesome. And I was in love, or what I thought was love. And I would say within the year of us dating, there were signs that I ignored. And that's where the problems began. And I ended up dating this person for 4 years, which is insane. Like, ugh, that is ridiculous. But this person that I, dated was super manipulative, narcissistic, and just abusive, like in all aspects, emotionally, physically, mentally. I was lied to, I was cheated on multiple times, and it left me feeling super empty and super insecure. And I remember I would cry to myself all the time and literally fight with myself, my mind, like, Brielle, get out, like, you deserve better, like, get out of this. But I would stay thinking that this person would change, thinking that I could change him. And I neglected myself and just invested every second, literally every second, every thought, every moment in time on this person. And this right here is a prime example of how emotions can override your intellect. Like, I was so fixated on this person and how I felt for them, but I didn't ask myself how I felt or if this was something healthy for me. Like, I completely and totally neglected myself, and I was so blinded. And for those of you who have been in toxic relationships, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like it's like a real deep dark hole you get sucked into. Like, you almost feel like you're drowning and you can't get out, and it's awful. It really is awful. Can you speak? And after 4 years of this hell that I chose to bring upon myself, I finally realized that this was not okay. And, I finally had the strength to block this person out of my life and say, adios, like, goodbye, c'est la vie. And of course, they always come back and have the realizations, and they promise they'll be better and they'll change and this and that. And I was like, yeah, no. El pasado es el pasado. Goodbye. The past is the past, sir. You was done. You was canceled. Remove yourself, because who are you? Like, ew, goodbye. But all jokes aside, as a result of this relationship, I came out super, super broken. I had just turned 21, and I lost 12 pounds. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I wasn't pretty enough. I felt like I was too much. Like, my feelings didn't matter. I didn't deserve anything. I really came out like literally the life was sucked out of me. Like, I was just so drained from this relationship. Like, I just felt like I didn't deserve anything. And when I tell y'all, the only man till this day who's given me flowers without me having to ask for them is my father. And Dad, if you're listening to this, I love you very much. And you will always be my number one man. Same thing with my brother. I have such great examples of what a good man is and how they treat a woman, thanks to my brother and my dad. And, when I think about that, like how I never received flowers, and that's something so simple, right? But that's a big thing for some girls. For me, that's a big thing. It's all about, like acts of service, love languages, which we're going to get into towards the end of this. But I had to ask this ex of mine to give me flowers because he didn't want to. Like, what? How is that even okay to even accept? Like, ladies, don't. And men, if you like flowers too and someone doesn't want to give it to you, like, don't accept that. And that's just something so simple. But that right there is like, come on. Don't you want to make your person happy? Don't you want them to be happy? Don't you want to love them and so on, right? But no, that person didn't want to make me happy. He was super, super selfish. And so because of this nonsense of 4 years that I chose to deal with, because, you don't blame the person for keeping you stuck. I chose to stay in that situation, and I brought a lot of pain and hurt to myself. But, you live and you learn, right? That's what matters, is what do you take out of the situation and how can you grow from it and what changes can you make? So after, I left that relationship of 4 years, finally cut it off and blocked him and whatnot, love left a bitter taste in my mouth. And so did dating. Like, I became super bitter and I was super broken. Now, I want to emphasize how important it is to heal before jumping into something else. I have seen many people just hop from relationship to relationship, and I'm like, bruh, how? Like, it's like that meme that says, some girls be claiming he's my world, but sis, this is your fourth world in 2 months. Are you building a solar system? And this is a funny meme. I love this meme. It's so funny. And, that applies to men as well. And I laugh at the meme because it really is true. Like, I know you guys have seen these kinds of people who are just, like, hopping around. Like, they don't even, like, give themselves a chance to breathe. Like, they break up and they post someone else and they break up, And it's also sad because really what's going on here is that person is trying to find ways to fill some sort of emptiness inside of them. They're looking for a person to fill that happiness or, to give them that happiness. And you should not depend on anyone or anything to bring you happiness. That person can add to your happiness, but that person can't be the reason for your happiness. And this is why it is crucial, and I emphasize, I capitalize, crucial to take time to heal and invest in yourself and learn how to love yourself. Because when you don't take the time to do this, what you have is this domino effect of, you don't resolve anything. And then like all your hurts and past baggages get thrown onto the next person, and it's not fair to them. And then that toxicity just keeps growing and growing. And then eventually you end up hurting not only yourself, but you hurt other people as well. So I say all of this because this happened to me. Not even a full week after I cut ties with that ex, I hopped on Tinder because I was like, well, let me see what else is out there to get over my ex. And right there, ladies and gentlemen, was already the wrong direction, the wrong way of thinking. In that moment, instead, I should have been like, nah, like I need to take time to heal, for myself. But instead, I was trying to find fulfillment in another guy. I wanted to feel wanted. I wanted to feel appreciated and happy, but was looking for another person to give me that. And that's not the right way of going about these things. And I know we've all heard the term situationship, right? Which sadly is a term. It shouldn't even be one. But here we are, the situationships, entanglements, whatnot. And this is what my next journey brought. A situationship that I was in for, I guess, like 3 years. And this situation was a prime example of how two broken people who don't take the time to heal themselves can hurt people and create the most toxic thing ever. And this situation involved a lot of playing games, a lot of stubbornness, a lot of pride, lying, ignoring. It was like a cat and mouse game. And, no one was being honest. We were stringing each other along. You tell the person one thing, then you're acting another way. And this, guys, is when the toxic Brielle came about. I didn't even know I was capable of doing the things I did. And I really ended up hating who I became. But I also got so sucked into this toxic mindset that I literally believed like that's how relationships were, how they had to be. And I thought every guy was trash. I thought every guy had mala intenciones, bad intentions. And I spoke poorly about men. Like, I legit was bitter. I remember I was like, yo, like, guys are all trash. They're not anything. Like, they all want to play games, this and that. Like, it was just, I just did not think highly of men at all. And I just wanted to play every guy. Like, I was hurt and I was so prideful, and I was like, they can't fool me. I'm going to fool them first. Like, it was crazy. Like, the mindset that I had, like, I legit was trying to study like the toxic minds of men, not even men, guys, boys, so I could like reverse the game and be the one to overpower them. Like, it literally became a sick game. Like, bruh, talk about time being wasted, yo. I think about it now, I'm like, Bria, what on earth were you thinking? Like, you wasted so much time, so much of your energy, so much of your mental health and emotional space. ¿Pa qué? For what? Like, what? Sis, what? Like, I'm telling you, like, I never knew I had this side to me. And it just shows you, like, when you get caught up in the games and that toxic mindset, like, you could just spiral. You literally just spiral, and like, you then look back and you're like, whoa, like, how did I get this far? Like, oh my gosh. I learned a lot from this situation, though. I learned, don't follow words, follow actions. People are going to tell you everything you want to hear, but people are also going to show you what they would rather do, and you need to pay attention to that. You need to know your value and your worth. You're more than a pretty face and a nice body. I remember I had my close friends, jokingly tell me, you're so toxic, Brie. And it was said so often that I legit kept telling myself, you are toxic, Brie. Like, this is just who you are. And then I finally realized, like, no, I'm not toxic. I'm just choosing to be toxic. There's a difference. And I really strayed away from who I really was. And honestly, I was just like, how did I get this far? Like, this isn't me. This isn't how I was raised. This isn't who I want to be. And I felt a lot of guilt with this situation. You know, I hurt this guy as well. And it took me some time to fully let go and apologize. Even after I apologized, like, I felt like it wasn't enough. Like, I just felt super, super guilty. And it really ate me up inside because I have such a big heart. Like, I never want to hurt anyone. And because I got so absorbed with myself and just this toxic game, like, I ended up hurting this person too. And that broke my heart. Like, that's when I was like, Brie, like, this isn't you. Like, wake up. Like, what are you doing? Like, you know better. And I prayed about it a lot. And I asked God, I was like, God, just help me heal and, you know, change and, you know, help. And also, like, let that person know, like, I'm sorry. Like, help them too. And luckily, this person and I were able to find that peace, apologize, and we both acknowledged our wrongs. But it took time. Like, I'm giving you guys, like, quick, you know, versions of these stories because I could go on for like 10 hours. and I don't even know if a podcast can go for 10 hours, but ain't nobody gonna be listening to a podcast for 10 hours. But, you know, I want to get my points across here, you know, like, but it took time. And I want you guys to know that, like, this didn't happen overnight. It took time. Wow, it is really raining. Like, it's so weird. Like, it rain, like, it comes hard and then it stops. And then it's, like, raining on the other side and not this side. Like, I don't know. It's just weird. Anyways, I digress. But back to this. Yeah, so it took time to heal and to make, you know, have this situation become civil. And honestly, I'm grateful that we became civil and that the bitterness is no longer there. And we both wish the best for each other, you know. And unfortunately, you know, I know that you don't always get to find that peace and closure with someone. But I am grateful that I was able to with this guy. And honestly, I give a shout out to God because, you know, he really revealed a lot of ugliness inside of me. And I was able to be honest with myself and have, you know, to put pride aside and stubbornness and to acknowledge my wrongs and to then confront the person. And even if the person said, I don't care, I still felt peace knowing that, you know, I apologize for my wrongs. I am so sorry for hurting you. Like, you know, it never was my intention. But, like I said, you know, I'm grateful that we did have that closure and all that. But I know in some situations it's not like that. So, you know, the result of that toxic situation, it really made me super fearful of dating and giving my time and emotions to someone again. You know, I became very bitter with love. I was like anti-love and it was just all about games still. Like, I was scared. And I struggled because of all this. Like, I then struggled with communicating my feelings because I dealt with guys who didn't care about what I had to say. You know, they either downplayed how I felt or they gaslighted me. And it made me, you know, it made it so difficult for me to express myself or tell someone like, hey, this is bothering me, or hey, I feel this way. You know, I would always just run or put a wall up and hide. And up until this point, like, I would say, like, I'm getting better with it now, but it's still something that I low-key do struggle with. And, you know, I know God is helping me heal those things, and I know I will 100% not feel that way anymore. But like I said, you know, these things take time. Like, I want you guys to know that I didn't just, like, bounce back from these situations immediately. Like, it took a lot of tears. It took a lot of hurt. And it took time, you know? You truly have to be honest with yourself, because the only way you can overcome these bad habits and, you know, love correctly is to be honest with yourself and acknowledge, you know, the areas that you need to work on. But, you know, with that being said, you know, after that situation of 3 years and all that, you know, I talked to guys in between. You know, I have talked to guys since then, you know, and figuring out, you know, what it was I was looking for in a man. But, you know, I was still focused on the wrong things. Like, I was still, doing things that I know I shouldn't be doing. And, I wasn't completely healed, and my focus wasn't in the right place. I followed social media accounts that advertised like the toxic way of thinking. And it's like I was feeding myself all that garbage, but still part of me deep down knew what I wanted. But for some reason, like, I kept going backwards to old familiar patterns. And then it came to a point where I decided, I was like, no, it's time to buckle down. Like, enough of this nonsense. Like, I buckled down and I cut out toxic things, toxic everything. And I focused on me for a few months. I started reading a lot of self-help books, listening to podcasts on like becoming like my best self, podcasts on dating and relationships. I focused on my career and my health. I worked on becoming strong mentally and physically as well. Like, I truly invested in myself, and I finally felt confident with myself and what I had to offer and what I was looking for in a man. And this was last year, the beginning of last year. I felt great, and I was not messing around. I was like, this is about me. Like, I've been through enough. Like, it's time that I put myself first and finally really just focus on me, because the only person besides God who's going to make me happy is being happy with myself. Like, I need to love myself. I need to know what it is I want in this life. I need to do the things that make me happy, because then I'm going to attract someone who's on that same path. That's how it works. It really does. Like, when you truly invest in yourself, like, you're just going to start attracting things that align with you and where you are in life. And I was finally in the best place of my life. And it's funny how life works, because that was when I was the best version of myself. That's when I met someone. So this guy I dated last year, the beginning of last year, I dated this guy for a few months. And to be honest, like, he really showed me that good men do exist, and that someone could care about me and see me for my worth. He was the first guy that I romantically was involved with that treated me right, which is really pathetic to say, I feel like, but it's the truth, Unfortunately, I did not have good experiences to start off my dating life, and this was the first guy to treat me right for the first time in my dating world. And he was super sweet, and he was great with communication. And in the beginning, it's funny, like, I noticed that my toxic patterns were returning. Like, I was so ready to be defensive and protect myself and put my wall up. But this guy was so patient with me and always reassured me. And for the first time, I noticed my toxic way of thinking disappearing, and my walls were falling down. And for the first time, I realized, like, I was in something healthy. Like, I didn't have to be defensive. I didn't have to play a game or whatever it was. And I was blown away, because I'm not used to that. I was always used to the games and the toxic mindset, that this was like foreign to me. And I'm like, wait, is this real? Is he about to play me? Like, I was just getting all defensive. And, then I was like, wait a second, no, like, this is something good. And, unfortunately it did not work out, because we had different views with certain things. And I was wanting to move to Florida. But I am forever grateful that I met him. He's such an amazing guy. He's super successful. And I truly wish nothing but the best for him. And I always thank God for allowing me to meet him, because it really did restore my faith in good men existing. And, that someone who really cares for you will take the time to be patient with you and learn your love language. And this person motivated me to continue being the best version of myself and taught me things that I will carry with me in life forever. And, God allows you to meet certain people for a reason. And I know for a fact, like, even though this guy was in my life for a short period of time, this was also, that short period of time was life-changing for me, because God showed me, like, hey, you're lovable. You're an amazing woman. Someone is going to respect you and love you. Good men do exist. Trust that. Believe that. Have faith in that. Not every guy is bad. Someone who truly cares about you is going to treat you like X, Y, and Z. And this is when I realized I was on a good path, because I had finally attracted a good guy. And it goes beyond the looks. Like, I finally knew, like, what to accept and what not to accept. I knew my worth and how I should be treated, and I received just that. But always know that you're going to attract anyone. People will try you. And I see these things as little tests, Will you go back to your bad past habits, or will you be wise now because now you finally know what you truly deserve? I think those scars will stay with you for some time, though. However, if you're honest with yourself and identify what areas you have to work on, you'll be able to change your way of thinking. And I'm saying this from someone who was in like the deepest hole of her life when it came to toxic relationships and has come out of it. It's painful, it hurts, it's frustrating to revisit at times, and you could feel kind of hopeless sometimes. But it is possible to get rid of the fear of dating and getting to know someone. You just have to be so honest with yourself and make the changes that are necessary. Focus on you. Don't jump to the next person. Literally just buckle down and take the time for yourself. Figure out who you are, what you want in life. You have to be honest with yourself. And, now that I'm, I decided to be open to dating, I really look for things that I've never looked before. I date with intention. I've realized what's important in a man for me. What am I looking for? Identifying my love language, knowing my worth, learning how to love unconditionally. God saved me from a dark place. And, I even though like I wish I didn't go through certain things, now I look back and I'm like, I'm glad I did, because although I could have made better choices, God brought me out of those dark places. And if anything, he revealed to me like who I want to be and who I don't want to be, and what's healthy and what's not healthy, and what I deserve and what I don't deserve. I learned that someone who truly cares about you will be patient. You don't have to be a perfect person to then date. There's no such thing as perfection. Someone who cares about you will be patient and reassure you. They'll meet your love language. And when I talk to my friends about dating now, I always emphasize the importance of learning your own love language and your person's love language, because we all come from different backgrounds, different upbringings, and we've all gone through certain things that sometimes without even realizing, like, have us thinking a certain way or doing things a certain way. And it's important that instead of judging someone immediately and just cutting them off, like, get to know them, learn their love language. And if you Google the 5 love, my voice sounds crazy. If you Google the 5 love language quiz, I highly recommend you do this. It's a quiz that will help you identify what your love language is, like what your top love language is. Because there's 5 different love languages. There's words of affirmation, there's physical touch, there's acts of service, quality time, and what is the other one that I'm missing? Wait, hold up. I literally retook this quiz again, so I'll tell you. Oh yeah, physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, and receiving gifts. And this quiz really will help you identify what your love language is, like what you need to receive in order to feel that you are loved. And it's funny because I talked to my parents about this too. My mom and dad, their love languages are very different, and they had to learn each other's love languages so the person felt loved. Because, for me, for example, words of affirmation used to be a big love language for me. Like, I needed to hear, I love you, I miss you, I care about you. Not all the time, but that's how I knew someone wanted me, right? Like, that I felt appreciated, I felt loved, and it made me happy. And that's important for someone to know, because for someone else, their love language may be physical touch, and maybe a hug that they need, or whatever, you know what I mean? So I highly recommend taking that quiz. I actually retook it today because I was just curious, because I already had an idea. I already knew my love languages have changed, and that can happen too. Like, love languages can change over time, because you're constantly growing every day, you're constantly changing. So I definitely believe love languages can change over time. And my love language, actually now, physical touch is the first one, then words of affirmation, quality time is the third one, acts of service, and receiving gifts. And it's not to say that these are wrong. This is just how I, these are my love languages. So whoever, has the courage to date me. No, I'm just kidding. Whoever chooses to date me, I will communicate with that with them, because it's important for them to know that. And I hope that they can communicate with me their love language as well, because that's what it's about. Like, it's about communicating. And, like I said, you're two different people, two different backgrounds, upbringings, and, we need to properly get to know each other and love correctly. Remember, guys, when you come together with someone, it's finding that balance, because you want to make sure that that person feels they are important to you. You need to learn their love language, have patience, be kind to each other, be sensitive to others' feelings, not just your own. Two different people need to learn themselves and then grow together. And that's why I emphasized earlier the importance of just identifying who you are and what you want. So when you come together with someone and align with someone, you guys are focused on being the best versions of yourself, but you guys also know how to balance, someone else in your life and learning their love language. And, just the fun part of dating, like, dating should be fun. You're getting to know someone, and you never know where it can lead. Instead of like, oh, dating is stressful, toxic and blah, blah, blah. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, dating can be stressful. Like, I don't know, like, am I made for this? And it's like, yes, Brielle, of course you're made for this. Like, you're super loving. You have a lot of love to give. And even though you've been through things, like, it doesn't mean every situation's going to be like that. And like I said, every day it's constantly feeding your mind with good things, healthy things, teaching yourself how to unlearn bad habits and relearn things. And that comes from, reading, listening to podcasts, not this garbage of like memes and, oh, well, if he plays, you play him. Like, no. Like, that's not what we're doing here. We want to have a happy and healthy love life, dating life, all of that stuff, And I know everyone probably wants to know this. Am I finally dating, or am I solo right now? What's going on? Bree, what you doing? And yes, I am dating. There is someone I'm getting to know who is super sweet, and I'm looking forward to see where it goes. I'm learning to just like live in the moment and not overthink, and taking one day at a time, and just continuing to focus on myself and becoming the best version of myself, but also learning what it means to unconditionally love. One of my favorite Bible verses is 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4-8. It talks about how love isn't selfish. Love is patient and kind. Love doesn't envy. It doesn't boast. Love never fails. God wants us to relearn love. And, that's my hope and prayer with this episode. I hope that we can unlearn these toxic ways, and, learn how to date in the healthiest way. Learn how to be friends with someone first, respect one another, water each other's minds, being patient, being understanding, listening to each other's feelings, letting that person know, like, hey, you can talk to me, like, I'm here for you. Creating that healthy foundation, because I truly believe that is all going to lead to such a healthy relationship. And, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like I said, this probably could have been like 10 hours of me rambling, but, I really just wanted to share my experiences, and then also share, what I learned from it, because, I have gone through a lot of things, and dating hasn't been easy for me. Dating has been hard. And like I said, I had to really be honest with myself, and it was very painful, and it hurt. And, I dealt with a lot of overthinking, and just me being stubborn with myself, me feeling hopeless. I became a toxic Brielle. And then, it started off with me happy and excited for love, thinking I'd have like this fairy tale. And then it didn't work out like that for me. And then I hit a low point in my life. And then I became so toxic. And then I felt, I spiraled. And then I got out of that hole, learned how to focus on myself, was able to really slap myself in the face and be like, hey, wake up. Like, what are you doing? And again, this all happened over periods of time. It did not happen overnight. And, up even till this point, sometimes with dating, like, I was scared. I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I always desired to have someone, but then I was quick to run away and block them off or cut them off for whatever reason. And I finally, like I said, I'm still growing and learning every day, but I finally have reached a point where I'm like, you know what? Like, I know what I do want. I do want to meet someone and be happy. And I one day want to get married and I want to have kids. And instead of telling myself it's never going to happen, I'm like, no, it will happen. If God wants it to happen, it will happen. And I know for a fact, like, God has someone for each one of us. So, and he wants us to be happy and be loved. So why wouldn't he give me that, So it all, goes back to just retraining your brain, your way of thinking, and, thinking highly of yourself and just knowing that you deserve the best. You deserve everything. And for my people who are in toxic relationships right now, I feel for you because I've been there and it breaks my heart. And I know some of you guys have reached out to me on social media asking for advice on toxic relationships. And, I really hope and pray that you guys can, have that moment where you realize, like, hey, I deserve better. Like, this isn't for me. Like, why do I think it's okay for me to accept something like this? Reevaluate everything, really take time for you. It's going to be hard. I know it's like a cycle. It's like a push and pull. It's like you're fighting all these internal demons and everything, but trust me, it is possible. And I say that because I'm here today, looking back at my toxic ways and toxic relationships and happy that I'm no longer in that place anymore. And like I said, it takes time, but you can do it, know your worth, know your value. And for my people who may be the toxic one, listen, it happens. Identify it, realize it, but do something about it. Be better. Strive to be better. Apologize. Be the better person. Change those ways of thinking. Don't be stubborn. Don't let pride get in the way. Don't let your ego get in the way, because you will feel lonely. You will feel super, super lonely, and it won't get better unless you decide to make the choice to be better. And that's pretty much what I got here for today. I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support always on the podcast. If you guys could, leave reviews on my podcast and ratings, that would be super helpful on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you guys have any questions about this, topic or anything, please feel free to DM me. I'm always looking at my DMs, and, when I get the chance, I respond to you guys, and you guys are amazing. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for being supportive, and just know that I am there for you, and I'm praying for all you guys. And, I want us to be the best version of ourselves and to be super happy and healthy. And oh my goodness, this rain, hopefully you guys can still hear me, but I'm there, I'm here for you guys. And it would be so cool one day if I could do like a meetup. I know I've talked to a few people about that. They're like, oh my gosh, like that would be so cool. We'll see what happens. But yes, if you could just, leave a review, share the podcast, share this with anyone that you feel might benefit from this. And thank you guys again. And any podcast suggestions, send them my way. I've been getting some. And guys, for those of you who've sent me suggestions, I didn't forget you guys. I will be working on that content for you guys. So thank you. Have a happy and safe 4th of July weekend, and continue to be the best version of yourself, guys. And I am sending all the good vibras your way. Bye, guys.